Good evening and welcome to the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District Board meeting on June 12th. The board did meet in closed session with no reportable action. And at this point, while you're standing, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Superintendent Kramer, are there any changes to the presented agenda?
No changes, President Driller.
Would a board member care to make a motion to approve?
I will move to approve the board agenda.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. At this point, we have public comment. I did not get any public comment cards, so if there is any public that would like to make a comment, and seeing none, we will close public comment. And moving to student representatives. Do we have any students from Sierra High? Would you like to start? That would be lovely. Make sure that little green button is on. Thank you. And then will you just tell us your name?
Good evening, Superintendent Kramer, members of the board, and members of the cabinet. My name is Quinn Holen, and I'm a 10th grade student with Coldstream Alternative. Yesterday, we held our graduation ceremony for Sierra High School, Coldstream Alternative, and Truckee River Program students. The audience members loved seeing all of the graduates on stage. The staff are so proud of their accomplishments, hard work, and perseverance. This past Friday, Sierra High School held their annual Breakfast and Books Literacy Circle. This is a time when students from Mrs. Zapata's class showcase a book they read by sharing a book via poster board with visitors throughout the district and community. Huge thanks to Mrs. Zapata for putting on this event. We had such an amazing turnout. Thank you to everyone who showed up to show support for the students' presentations. Sierra High School and Truckee River Program have had several end-of-year field trips for team building and celebrating their accomplishments. Several of the trips include Reno Aces game, Rockland Quarry Adventure Park, Donner Lake, and Field Day. We're wrapping up state testing this week. We had some challenges with student attendance and participation, but staff are not giving up, so more makeup testing this week. Sierra High School had their Western Association of School and Colleges, also called WASC, mid-cycle review, and WASC cleared Sierra High for the remaining 3 years of our 6-year cycle. We are excited to receive WASC approval for the next 3 years. That's all for tonight. Have a great summer.
Thank you very much for that. North Tahoe High.
Good evening, and thank you for having us. My name is Valerie Laguna.
And Camila Martinez, and we're the student representatives for North Tahoe High School. We started off the month of June by appreciating our Lakers staff. They were daily recognitions for our teachers, such as staff massages, staff breaks, staff mini golf, and beach lunches.
Our spring sports ended on a positive note. For track, Libby Webb won first place in the high jump. Kalina, Kaya, Lexi, and Marion won first place for the 4x4. Emma, Belinda, Lily, and Kai won third place for the 4x200.
Our girls and boys golf team won state championships, and we are very happy for all these great athletes.
Quickly following this, Great Future Productions from BGC worked together with students and had a school play 6. This was the final performance for the school year, and for some of the seniors, their last performance altogether. We also had our annual spring concert. Attendance was high, and our students demonstrated all of their hard work and dedication to music. Their performance was graceful and magical, truly just beautiful.
The leadership class brought another performance to us. They hosted the first ever Film Fest. Students made their own films or movies, and they judged based on their creativity, execution, special effects, and narrative.
Leadership also put together our last school pep rally, and the theme was Super Bowl. We had our annual air band competition. Air band is a class competition where we must dance or sing while meeting the theme. And although our teachers, Eminem, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, and Snoop Dogg put on a great halftime show, I, as a junior, am happy to say that the junior class won this honor for the second time.
Speaking of leadership, we had our official class officers and ASB elections this last week. We look forward to the upcoming year with these great leaders taking the challenge of introducing new improvements in our school.
The officers for the sophomore class are Delina Steves as president, Anselmo Arieta Villanueva for vice president, and Miriam Calmes for secretary.
The officers for the junior class are Kyra Patton, Serafina Varisco, secretary is Tessa Pierce, and treasurer is Emma Silvern.
The senior officers are Maverick Lucas as president, Salvador Murillo as vice president, Macy Kearns as secretary, Brady Dessler as treasurer.
And lastly, the ASB officers are President Valerie Laguna, Vice President Miguel Sanchez, Secretary Scout Mitchell, Treasurer Stella Gajar.
These are all phenomenal leaders at NTHS. They make our school a better place by creating new, inclusive environments that allow everyone to express their core personalities. They collaborate with the rest of our student body to put together all of our fun events like prom.
Prom was hosted on May 31st, and the theme was red carpet. The venue was beautiful and very elegant. All the students rejoiced and had lots and lots of fun. We provided a photo booth for the students to have physical pictures that they could keep forever. Our very own student, Nolan Panardo, was our DJ, and he did an amazing job. Overall, the prom was a huge success.
Athletes Committed partnered with CHP throughout the entire school year to bring Death Every 15 Minutes to NTHS 2 days before prom.
This is a 2-day program that brings awareness on issues of drinking and driving. On the first day, we began pulling students every 15 minutes from class. This stemmed from a statistic that every 15 minutes, someone passed away due to drunk driving.
On the first day, we also modeled a car crash scene with 6 students from NTHS. The entire community was involved as there were first responders, police officers, the Truckee mortuary, and parents involved with the recreation of an actual vehicle accident caused by drunk driving. This day was very heavy and heartfelt.
Therefore, the following day, we had an informal assembly about the program, its purpose, and its goals. Many guest speakers talked about the difficult topics. This entire program was student-led, and we could not be more proud of our Lakers for putting this together for their classmates.
Another school program that is excelling is Link Crew. We recently had our applications, and the involvement and interest was extremely high. We had our first Link Crew play date, where we played with block toys and just kidding. We actually did play a couple games, but they were more under the umbrella of team bonding exercises. We created strong connections and built the foundation for a strong Link Crew group for the year to come. We are more prepared than ever to support the incoming freshmen.
On that note, we ended this month with our class of 2024 high school graduation ceremony 2 days ago on Monday, June 10th. When we are deeply saddened by the fact that we get to take their golden parking spots. Also, just kidding. Their presence is truly missed, and we are proud of each one of them.
This year, for the class of 2024, we had a total of 125 graduates. The ceremony was beautiful and inspiring, with a total of $724,000 in community scholarships alone. The students were presented with their scholarships during awards night. We cannot say enough how proud we are of our classmates, and we are anxious to see what life has in store for them. They are all kind and intelligent individuals who will greatly impact our community and our world.
Lastly, admin worked extremely hard to make CASP testing a little more welcoming than previous years by providing snacks and a set of routines for all students. They ensured that each student felt personally recognized when taking these tests, and everyone had a personalized plan and schedule to ensure their success.
As we move into the summer, we look forward to finishing up our school finals and beginning our long beach days full of sun and our lake.
Thankfully, the students all have a free reading assignment.
Thank you for having us. As always, it is a pleasure to emphasize and recognize our students and staff's accolades and share our joy with you all.
Girls, I want to know who's replacing you next year. You guys have done a fantastic job. I said, has anyone, hopefully you're not, will you be able to do it next year as well? Stunning. That's awesome.
Brianna graduated.
But, okay, so then that's perfect. Thank you. That was awesome. Truckee High. Do I have anyone from Truckee High? Okay. That concludes. You guys, thank you. You know that we do love having student reports, and it's always the highlight is to hear from you as well, but it's also great to have everyone who is watching gets to hear a little bit more about what's happening at school. So anything and everything you do report is awesome. We love to hear it. With that, I will finish up the student reports. We're now on moving to Superintendent Kramer. You can introduce what's happening, as I forgot last time.
That's okay. We have a school showcase, and it is my pleasure to introduce Principal David Manahan to get us started for the CELS Showcase.
Hello, I'm David Manahan, Director and Principal of CELS. This is my annual moment in front of all of you. And again, as always, I really want to express the appreciation that we all have for the work you do and for including us as, you know, a pseudo-district school, which we feel like that's what we want to be. And so it's a nice, feels like always a really nice combo. And each year I want to come up and try to highlight something slightly different about our school. This year it might not be too different. I know last year we had some students showing you PSAs and some other things they had created. And one of the things that we focus really intensely on is our character ed program. And part of that character program is skill development. And a specific skill is public speaking and presenting. And so that's really what we focus on a lot. And I have just in different ways we try to get the kids speaking. So we just had last week and at the end of our term our open house, which we call Celebration of Learning at the end of each semester. There's lots of student presentations going on. I think, Kirsten, you got to see one last in January when they do this thing called Ancient World Summit. There's Chautauqua's this year. I think we have a student, is she doing her poem or her, yep. And another one that was done at Celebration of Learning. Then there could be, we do another thing which we did today. Actually, our first graders did it on Tuesday. But first grade, third grade, fifth, sixth, and seventh, and eighth grade. So anytime a student is transitioning to a new teacher, because they mix classrooms or loop in elementary. So whenever they transition to a new teacher, we have this thing called passages. And it's a reflective presentation where they go back over the course of the year or potentially multiple years. It could be, if it's the eighth graders, of which I have 3 of them here, it could be their entire time at our school, and they talk about ways in which they've developed, grown, changed, and they use examples of whether that's field work that we do or assignments they've had or projects or relationships, or it could be almost anything where they demonstrate how they've grown and changed over the years and the time. And the passages, if you're around campus tomorrow, they'll be going on from the 8th graders are from 8 to 9 in the morning, and the 3rd, 5th, 6th, 7th are from 12:30 to 1:30. You can stop into a room if you can catch it at the front end, because we try not to interrupt them. But they're really cool. They're very powerful. Most of the classrooms will end up with some tears as the kids present, which is really cool. So I don't really, unless I'd like to just offer if any of you have any questions before I start bringing up students, because that's really the more enjoyable part of this whole thing. As long as my 8th graders can handle it, they might be a little depressed after, not dominating during our staff versus 8th grade dodgeball tournament this morning. It was a tie, okay. Any questions or anything that you all have for me about programming? All right. So what I'd like to first have is, and when all of you come up, if you could just, I think by the record, it's supposed to state your name, so just say your name, and you can say what grade you are. And if you can, give just a quick, brief description of what was the assignment. Like, what is it? That could be super quick. Like, we had to make a poem on this or a children's book or whatever it is. Real quick, I did forget to mention, this is all of our artwork that came up. And we do try to put little explanations of what the assignment or task was, so you get a sense of what they were working on and what they can do, if you get a chance to look at that. All right, you want to come up, Avery? Here, I'm going to put this over here, and then you can stand maybe right there.
She wanted me to introduce her. Totally. All right. Hi, I'm just going to introduce my daughter real quick. My name's Tal Fletcher. We are parents of Avery Fletcher, who's almost done with first grade at Sells. We've absolutely loved our experience there, and we were really impressed with what she is about to show you. They did an expedition called Amazing Animals, Amazing Me, and they learned a lot about local animals, and this is a result of that. So here's Avery.
I am Avery. I am a woodpecker. Adventures, I shine bright. No hesitation, jumping right in. My dad calls me a sales kid. I love looking at the beautiful views. I'm dedicated, gymnastics, hardworking. I feel excited. Cheers and encouragements. Cartwheels and handstands, my favorite. When I am sad, snuggle with the kiddo. As the problems calmly, use my words, listen. My friends help me. I bring happiness and cheer. My happy nature, I feel joy. The warm sun, I start the day's adventure with excitement. I feel calm and loved. I am Avery Kit Fletcher, amazing me.
You want to show them the art? Here.
So real quickly, this was expeditions for us are these big 5-month-long integrated units based on social studies standards or science standards. So we do half the year of each. And the Amazing Me, Amazing Animal one was just that. They just looked into animals and then looked into themselves. And when they presented at Celebration of Learning last week, the teacher also had, in between the students presenting, there was a recording of parents who had talked about their child and some of the traits. And so you'd hear the parent talking about the student, and then you'd hear the student read their poem. So it was really lovely. All right, any of you want to jump up first? Come on up, Clyde. I actually have to lift the thing for this. You explain the slam poetry quick.
Yeah, my name is Klein McCormick, and we did a expedition called Power to the People. And for the final project of that expedition, we made poems about things we want to bring awareness to in the country. And yeah, this is my poem, and I had a partner that wrote it with me, Peter Iniguez, and I'll read it. Have you ever heard that voice in your brain that makes you feel all your pain, trying to find a way to gain respect for being the same? As they stare into their phones, their mind goes into bad zones. I feel a shiver in my bones. Every time I hear the notification tones. As I open the comments, I'm scared of the contents. What will be staring back at me? I know it's not guaranteed, but will they hate me? Will they talk behind my back? I feel like a train falling off its track. Somebody please cut me some slack. All these motions inside I have to unpack, and it's a fact they have an impact on my mental health. Because I'm not so happy inside, I feel crappy. Every time I look at my phone, I feel alone, staring into the zone of the unknown. My heart feels like it has been blown into pieces, and my sadness increases. My confidence decreases, 'cause what are the reasons people are mean? They're going to make me destroy this machine. Don't they realize I'm only a teen, making all of my emotions bounce like I'm on a trampoline? I might take a knife to my vein so I can stop feeling the pain. I try to explain, but no one will listen. My eyes start to glisten. 22% of high school students reported considering suicide in the past year. 19.5% of teens aged 12 to 17 had a major depressive episode in the past year. 42% of kids are being bullied online. The amount of mean comments start to incline. I want to tell someone, but I need a lifeline. This shouldn't be right in our lifetime. But there's things you can do to help with this cause, because we all have our flaws. Make these people feel welcome and get some applause, and make their minds have less withdrawals.
So what he forgot to share was these were written as slam poetry, and so I'm not sure you know what that is, but so they presented, all the 8th graders wrote things like that, and his topic was obviously on the social media cell phony thing, but it's fairly intense. They do topics everything from assault to domestic violence to immigration to homelessness and then they present at Alibi. So we've been doing this for a number of years, and we sort of take over the whole place on a Wednesday or Thursday night. And every 8th grader gets up at Alibi and does something like that, which is, we're always kind of amazed we can pull it off, that we can get 8th graders to do it, which is fantastic. We also bring in what we call professionals. It's an improv group out of Reno, and they do slam poetry. So we bring up a couple of them as experts, and they work with the students and really help them. Particularly, you notice the language and the rhyming, and so it's a really nice, cool process for them to do every year. All right, who wants to come up next? Don't be shy, Ella. Come on. Remember to state your name and a little bit of the topic.
Hi, my name's Ella Whitman. I'm an 8th grader at Sells. And for one of our projects that we did this year for ELA, we made children's books. And the task for the children's books is that we would have to choose someone who we thought was inspiring to us, and then we'd write a fictional story about that person in a certain situation, and there had to be a certain lesson, whether it was don't listen to what others say, or you can do it if you believe in yourself. So this is my story. It's called The Heart of the Brain, and it's about it's inspired by Sanjay Gupta, who's an American neurosurgeon. And we had to do the process was we wrote the actual story, and then we printed it and put it in these illustrations. So the different illustrations. So.
And it was written for who?
Oh yeah, we wrote these for our buddies, and buddies are a lower or upper grade, and for us it was the kindergarteners at Sells. So we wrote our books and then we read them to our buddies, actually last Friday, I think. It's gonna take like 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, too big.
Okay. The bright flashes of the dozens of cameras blinded his eyes. The only thing that kept him from tripping over his feet was the bold red carpet lining the entrance to the Grand Hall of the Awards Convention Center. Finally, he escaped the crowd of interviewers and reporters who hoped to get a little glimpse of the inside of these heroes. The cool breeze of the air conditioning hit his face, calming some of his nerves. As he walked down the hall, he saw an exhibit of heroes. He froze as a shiver of nostalgia crept up his spine. He froze at the sight of a picture, a mere picture. But to him, it wasn't just a picture. It was right after the first surgery he performed. His mind brought him back to the vivid memory of what happened that day. The smell of hand sanitizer and sterile tools filled his nose. The sound of shoes pattering on the shine floors.
All right, come up, Yona. And so, I'll let you introduce what, you said it's from Passages, right? So just, you can talk.
Should I just talk about the passage?
Just real quick what that assignment is.
Hi, my name is Fiona Kemper, and I'm an 8th grade student at Sells. So I'm going to be presenting part of my passages, and the passages are basically 15-minute long presentations, and you can choose any format you want. So you can do art, and you can make it up on the stage as you present. You could do a formal speech or a poem, and for mine I chose a poem. I'm not going to be sharing the whole thing. I copied parts of it and put together a different draft. So my poem is called Cacophony. How far would you go? How much snow would you let the roof collect? How much water would you allow the boat to hold? How much would it hold before it sunk to the bottom, forgotten, by time itself? People tell you you're not allowed to sit on a shelf. How far would I go? Who would I cling on to along the way? Who couldn't I live without? If there was a drought, who would I want to be there with? The cacophony is always there. laughing at me, judging, mocking, pushing me. Their faces ask me if it hurts yet. Are you bleeding? Are you tired? Are you crying? Are you dying? Yes. But not because of you. I'll push the boulders you roll at me back up the hill, all your words there a minor spill. I'll give my loyalty to anyone and everyone. You'll never be alone, never be silenced, never be invisible. I want you to feel invincible. I've been taught all this since the beginning, and at the beginning, before everyone learned who I was, they learned where I'm from. Because at the beginning of the year, we were asked to make it clear who we are, who we were, how where we were from influenced us. I'm defined by water. My structure's built on sand. I'm carved by an island breeze. My mind rests against a palm tree. A town, like this one, it was small, but to me it was all and everything I needed. The world was my oyster as I searched in the sand. I vow to remember everything I can. This town built me, but it could not hold me. That's why I've come so far. I mentioned water, did I not? It helps me when I'm lost. Swimming, it's what I do. I'd much rather be in a pool right now instead of standing up here in front of a crowd. Swimming, it fuels me, lets me forget and collect. My friends there, with them I never feel scared. Swimming, it hurts me, but in the way where it aches, in the way where I long for more, because every time it burns, I grow. From the ashes I rise again, stronger and better. Swimming, it's a letter, to me and me alone. Underwater I can be on my own. Underwater I can't hear the cacophony. The top of my mountain is supported by all the people I know, the knowledge I've gained, the stains I collected along the way, and the cacophony is still there. It's different now. Their catcalls are a little less loud. I overcame those hills to reach the mountain, felt the sun shine on my face at the top, and the rain, it fell in curtains around me, but never touching my skin. I ignored the cacophony. Their words only fuel me. This is the end of a piece of string, but it's still wrapped around me to bring safety and comfort in times of distress. But nevertheless, it does not define me. Its appearance is timely. I strive to be myself. I would not survive if I was anything else. Thank you.
Wow, that was lovelier than I thought it was going to be. Anyhow, so that was sort of our presentation. Again, I want to make sure I convey how important all of you are and that crowd over there for helping support us so that we can help them develop into what you're seeing right now, which we feel proud about, and I know they feel proud about that too. So thank you for all you do.
David, I do want to say that we did enjoy seeing your 8th graders here for the Sierra High Books and Breakfast, which was nice. That was, yeah.
It's probably because it's often the same topic, because they're in the middle of studying sort of that, power to the people.
Yeah, that was awesome. Cool. Thank you very much, you guys. That was great. Moving right along. Again, and thank you very much, our little first grader. You did phenomenally. That was hard. First man out. That was tough. That was good. And then we'll let you guys sneak out, and then we'll move on to superintendent report with Superintendent Kramer.
Thank you, President Driller, and I really need to switch the order. That is such a tough act to follow. Maybe I'll write a district update in poem form for you sometime.
And get up and wrap it.
One step at a time. Trustee Hennessy. So I want to start by congratulating our graduates. Our last commencement ceremony was yesterday, and all 3 events were lovely celebrations of what the class of 2024 has accomplished, and they were inspiring send-offs as our seniors embark on their next learning journey. And attending the graduation ceremonies always reaffirms for me how proud I am of our school district. Our graduates are well prepared for their next steps, and that's thanks to our staff's hard work and dedication, alongside the support from the graduates' families, and all of this is guided by our board's strategic decisions. Additionally, I want to acknowledge the immense generosity of our community. The outpouring of financial support to our graduating seniors is incredible. Thank you to all of our community members for investing in the future. I'm confident that the class of 2024 will accomplish great things. And finally, we do have a week off from a district strategic plan update. Later in the meeting tonight, I will share an overview of the Local Control Accountability Plan, also known as the LCAP, which aligns to the district strategic plan. Our next update about the plan will be during the June 26th board meeting, when the Environment Literacy Work Group, led by our very own Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Ed Hilton, will report out on Action 3.32, that's within the Community Connections focus area. And so that concludes my update for tonight.
Thank you. There we go. Moving on to 11.0, Superintendent Kramer, resolution.
For this resolution, we will be turning to our Assistant Superintendent, Chief Business Officer, Mr. Todd Rivera.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer, President Driller, members of the board. So tonight we bring to you Resolution Number 28, 2023-2024, resolution of the intent to convey an easement to Southwest Gas Corporation for Glenshire Elementary School. And a little bit of background on what this is about is about a year ago, Southwest Gas, who is the natural gas provider at all of our school sites except for one, approached us about a program that they currently have called the Customer-Owned Yard Line Program. And what that program is an opportunity that they offer to school districts to convert currently district-owned gas lines that go from the street to the building into Southwest Gas owned gas lines. So essentially, right now as it is, Southwest Gas is responsible and owns the gas lines pretty much from the source to the street, and then from the street to the buildings is district-owned gas lines, which means that we're responsible for maintaining those gas lines and making any repairs if they fail. With this program, what they will do is they'll come in and actually replace those district-owned gas lines, and they will become Southwest Gas owned, which means they will be responsible for the maintenance and repair if anything goes wrong with those lines. So with that, in order to move forward with this project, and again, this is no cost to the district, they actually provide this service for free, is we need to convey an easement for them. And an easement's just a right to access the property in order to make repairs and to do the actual construction on the property. So that is planned for this summer at Glenshire Elementary. And this is the first step in an easement process. First, we have to adopt a resolution of intent to convey that easement. And then we'll be following up at the next board meeting with a public hearing to hear public comment prior to approving the easement.
Thank you for that. Any board questions? Yes.
I'm just curious. I understand the benefit to the district for doing this, but what is Southwest getting out of this?
I think they received funding for this. I'm not sure where they received it, but it was a limited term program, so this most likely would be the only site that we're able to take advantage of. But I don't think there's necessarily an angle that they're trying to do. I think they want to be able to maintain their own gas lines and put their own equipment and infrastructure in.
Thank you for that. If there's no further questions or comments, this is an action item, so we'll bring it to the board for a action or approval. Sorry. Motion?
I'll move to approve the resolution to make the conveyance to Southwest Gas.
Thank you.
At Glenshire School.
Second on that? Thanks, Pat.
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, thank you very much. And moving to 12, Superintendent Kramer, donation.
And for this, we'll also turn to Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. So we received a very generous offer from Ward Young Architects, who the district actually does a lot of work with on projects as well. And they had HP Design Jet T830 multifunction large-scale plotter that they wanted to provide and donate to Truckee High School for their engineering class or whatever they need to use that for. So the value of that is approximately $5,381, and we really appreciate the opportunity and that this will be beneficial for our students.
Thank you. Oops, thank you. Any board comments or questions? Pat?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you also. That's a very generous donation. And I feel like Ward Young Architects works really hard to be a community partner. So that's another example. We have plotters in our office, and they're used for printing large-scale plan sets oftentimes. So when you're in an architectural firm, they're printing out like the floor plans or things like that. And they're about the size of this table typically. So think of like giant printer.
Thank you.
Thank you for answering that question. Anything else, Chris? Okay, so I will also appreciate the fact that Ward Young is locally here and supporting us continually. So with that, is there a motion on the table?
I'll make a motion to accept the donation of a plotter from Ward Young Architects.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, thank you. Moving to a public hearing. So at this point, actually, we'll close the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District Board meeting and open the public hearing on the local control and accountability plan for 24-25, and I'll pass that on to you, Superintendent Kramer.
Thank you, President Driller. It's my pleasure to share with you the local control accountability plan tonight. It's a collaborative process. We work with Todd, our Chief Business Officer, and the fiscal team to develop the budget along with the local control accountability plan. We also get a lot of educational partner input from parents, from staff members, from students, and we do have specific committees that help give feedback. So I'll share some of those examples. As we develop this plan and kind of get into the final stages, so tonight is the info-only presentation on this, and we'll bring it back for, hopefully for your approval on June 26th. And it's a public hearing just so the public's aware of the plan and can offer comment prior to June 26th as well. Along with that, Placer County of Education also reviews and helps us with this plan. So there's a lot of oversight. Thank you. So during the presentation, I'll go over all of the documents you have because there are a lot of pages here for you to look at. And then I'll highlight one specific metric for the 23-24 plan. In addition, then we'll look at next year's LCAP, and I'll provide some highlights about that. And it looks like we're having some tech difficulties, so sorry about that.
We appreciate your patience.
I think I can probably keep going just because there's not a lot of description on the slides. Oh, it's back. Okay. So in your board packet, you actually have two LCAP plans. There's a 23-24 LCAP, which is our current one we're using this year, and that's 39 pages long. So when you look at the page numbers on the bottom, it's helpful because you can see, actually it's 37 pages, sorry. And then there is also the new LCAP for 2024 to 2027, which is the long one, and it's 79 pages. And this is an accountability plan, and it includes goals, the metrics, and the actions. You also have two other documents. One is called the Federal Addendum, and the purpose of that document is to share how we use federal funding, all of the title programs. And then every year we do an annual self-reflection where we reflect on our progress on different state priority areas. So I know that's a lot. You've got the current LCAP, you've got the LCAP for next year, our federal addendum, and then the self-reflections. So we are wrapping up year 3 of a 3-year LCAP. And what I pulled here was the metric that is measuring how well prepared our students are for college and career. I selected this one to highlight because it incorporates a lot of other metrics. So, for example, for a student to be considered college ready, they could demonstrate that by completing rigorous coursework at Sierra College. They could pass challenging exams such as an AP or our own state CASP exam. They could demonstrate college readiness by being A through G ready for any of our college, state, California state, or universities. They also demonstrate it by receiving a state seal. And just at the award ceremonies, the last few nights, couple weeks, we've seen many of our students earn those seals. So I thought that was great, that that's another way they can show college readiness. And for our district, probably the easiest path for them to show career readiness is by completing a CTE pathway. So when you look at the LCAP metrics, you'll see CTE pathway completion as a separate metric. You'll see A through G readiness as a separate metric in our CASP scores. So I really like this one because it brings everything together. And of course, this is our goal as a school district, is to have our students, when they graduate, be prepared for college and career. I also chose this one because there are results to celebrate. So you can see that we made progress over the last 3 years for all students, but even all of those subgroups. So it's important that we disaggregate the data and really monitor how our different student groups are doing. And this is so we can continue to work on closing the achievement gap. Our goal, of course, would be to have 100% of our students college and career ready. And we are making steady progress there. So that's a celebration. So that is from the current LCAP that is sunsetting at the end of this year. So then we're kind of in this unique opportunity because we're developing the next LCAP, which you also have included in your packet. And each LCAP is in a 3-year cycle. So we're developing a new one that starts next school year and will go through 2027. We do update it every year, but we're kind of looking at a 3-year plan. What's great about this timeline and cycle we're in is that we just completed the district strategic plan last year. And so ideally, the district strategic plan is the umbrella, which all of the other plans fall under. So by having completed that last year, that is then kind of directing our LCAP goal areas and actions. So you'll see that the district goals are aligned with the district strategic plan, and then the actions in the LCAP also align to the strategic plan actions. So that way we're all moving together towards the same goal. The other important thing about the LCAP document for our community and board and all partners is that it does show how we're using our district resources to improve student outcomes. So it shows how we attach budget numbers to certain things. So that's important. It's good accountability. So there are the new LCAP goals, which probably look very familiar to you because they're also our district strategic plan goals. So goal 1 in our LCAP is academic achievement. Goal 2 is support systems, and goal 3 is community connections. So we're really excited to have everything lined up. The LCAP it kind of continues and rolls. So even though we are closing the current LCAP and sunsetting it, it does help drive what we do in this next 3-year cycle. So when you look at goal 1 in the new LCAP for academic achievement, you're going to see that it builds on the goals from the old LCAP, from goal areas 1 and 2, and some of those actions and metrics. So we carry things forward that are working. You don't want to stop. And then we want to keep monitoring our progress. And then goal 2 in the new LCAP is taking actions and metrics from the goal 3 from the old one. And then you'll notice goal 3 in our new LCAP is new, community connections. And just a reminder that the Community Connections Strategic Action Area was formed from that 47-person strategic task force. That was from a lot of staff and community and student input. So we felt it was very important to, if it was in the strategic plan, we wanted it to be in the LCAP too, because that is important to all of us as a district. So for goal 1 for academic achievement in the new LCAP, You'll notice that our actions are continuing things from the old LCAP, CTE focus. We're still doing lots of literacy support programs, teacher collaboration and common assessments. And what you'll see that is new is implementing the newly adopted math curriculum with success, and then continuing an even greater English learner focus. And so we take these draft actions to everyone, basically. Lots of people were able to give feedback through surveys. Students and staff and families complete a survey in January. In addition, we have 3 committees that review and give us input. The District English Learner Advisory Committee had a chance to look through the actions and provide feedback. We have the Parent Superintendent Advisory Committee took a look. And in addition, there is a specific committee formed called the Parent Advisory Committee for the LCAP. And that committee is made up of parents of students with disabilities, parents that are representing English learners. We even had a newcomer family present, and we also had a GATE, gifted and talented. And the purpose of that committee is to make sure that we're addressing the needs of those important subgroups. And they were phenomenal. I'll give some examples. Like, their input was so valuable. So for example, our DLAC and the LCAP Parent Advisory Committee both really celebrated the CTE focus and confirmed that continuing that was an important priority for them, for their students. And then the English learner focus came out loud and clear from the DLAC and from the Parent Advisory Committee. Everyone supported that that is a subgroup, important subgroup that deserves the additional focus. So with Goal 2 and support systems, we're still focused on social emotional learning, counseling, and our well-maintained and safe facilities. And as you know, we've added the wellness centers and mental health specialists, so you'll see that in the LCAP. And we've added that focus on attendance. And again, through the feedback with those committees, they all applauded the attendance, and they provided feedback that they want us to explore, and this was the PAC, the Parent Advisory Committee, other family notification methods for tardies and absences. So it's great because they really look at the actions, tell us if they think it's a priority, but then they also give us ideas of how we can implement the actions in a meaningful way, which is great. And then they also, and this is where I really want to hold up our community and partners, our parents. They understand the importance of data. And so with the students with disability families, they said, would you please make sure, as you're monitoring the wellness and mental health services, that you are gathering data on the frequency and type of support our students with disabilities are getting. Are they able to access these services? Are their accommodations being upheld? And I love that a parent was asking for disaggregated data. So they're just really great partners. We're so fortunate here. And then Goal 3, for community connections. Parent and family engagement was part of this year's current LCAP, the old one, that's sunsetting. And what we've done is really kind of diving deeper based on the district strategic plan and input from that task force. So we've added the actions for inclusion and belonging, the transition points, outdoor education, and student voice. And so what the different advisory committees ask that when we're looking at that transition point and doing the needs assessment, to please make sure we're disaggregating the data by subgroups and grade levels. And again, I love that they're asking for that data. And that DLAC and the Parent Advisory Committee both see the value and want more and more parent and family engagement. And they had great discussions about why is it difficult for families to attend? How can we get more families? And of course, we know that aligns with our CEI, our Community Engagement Initiative that has been happening at North Tahoe and North Middle. And the further thing that they shared, DLAC feels like they have a voice. They really do feel like at the school sites and at the district level, they're able to influence things and that we listen and that they're a partner. And they had the great idea for their DLAC meetings and then their school ELAC meetings, they would love to have some teachers there so that they're collaborating even more with the teacher and hearing the teacher voice. So I love the fact they see they have a voice and they want to make sure that they're hearing for the teachers when you're dealing with site issues. So I just really appreciate all of those committees and their input. We really value their feedback, and they help us bring the actions to life in a meaningful way for our community. So I know that that was very brief when you have hundreds of pages of metrics and actions. So our Director of Educational Services, Sean Roderick, is here, and I'm here to answer any questions you have.
That is a lot of stuff. Thanks. I just was looking through there's just a lot of numbers. It's a lot of numbers. Any board comments or questions for either Sean or Superintendent Kramer?
No questions. Yeah, I think it's a lot of information to absorb, but I really appreciate the simplicity of how you're kind of focusing on the goals, and that the additional goal of community connections is something that we've talked about as a board too, and I think is really heartfelt in the community. So I really like that as an additional voice in the LCAP. And yes, a lot of it makes sense to have all these continuing action items come forward so that we're not missing out where we're having successes, which I think is important. And overall, just amazing work, for sure. So thank you.
Teamwork.
Amazing teamwork.
Pat?
So I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. You were talking about DLAC, and I went to the year-end celebration, and then, we celebrated for a little while, and then they started taking care of business, and they definitely shared what you just shared, that they feel like they have a voice. It sounds like they were pretty instrumental in some of the calendar changes, and then they shared some of their hopes for future calendar changes. I'm like, I don't know if that one's gonna fly. It was very, what's it called? Like when you thrive, you strive, ambitious. It was a very ambitious goal, but they did share. They felt heard, and they were happy that someone from the board was there, and they were just, like 3 or 4 ladies were talking about how they finally felt like they were part of the process, outside of themselves, right outside of their group. Yeah. I just wanted to share that because that was really positive.
A lot of work that went into this, and I know that there was lots of moving pieces and moving parts, and so I definitely appreciate all that. Timely, I think it's, when we needed it, the alignment of the strategic plan and the LCAP just makes it simpler. We're all going for the same thing. So I do appreciate all those little highlights of things that we all are trying to make happen. Community involvement, community support has obviously, when you get DLAC saying stuff, I know we've been working hard on getting them involved and having a voice, and I feel like we were able to say, even listening to Cells just now, having a voice at any level has been awesome, and I think that we've as a district, have created that as a common theme. So I'm very psyched to see that people who didn't feel like they were represented have a voice now, from special ed to DLAC to Cells to us all. And also, I love the celebrations. Like, we've done some, looking at 2020, or the last 3 years, that we've increased. Everything's, and I'm sure there's other ones that may not have done it, but we will take the ones that show the increases. Those are some great percentages, despite everything that went on. So I think it's a positive and a celebration for sure. With that, it looks like that is an info for the public meeting for the 13.1. We'll now go on to the public hearing for 24-25 proposed budget. Superintendent Kramer, will you help us with that?
Yes, and for that, we'll turn back to Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. So, as the requirement for a public hearing for the LCAP and the proposed budget, we have to do that at a meeting that's separate from the adoption. So for this particular public hearing, we've provided the budget document, which is essentially the numbers. So it is not what you normally would see as a complete budget document when we go to approve that at the next June meeting. So by the next June meeting, you'll have the narrative, which kind of provides more explanation on the budget document, and then also the presentation of the budget. And then at that point, the board will entertain approving those
Awesome, thank you for that. Any questions on this information item that's abbreviated?
No, other than I do think it's helpful to get it in this form first so that we have time to digest it. So I know we all looked at the numbers and then got probably overwhelmed with the numbers and then had to go back and look at it again. But I do think that gives us the benefit of time to kind of process it. And then when we get it back for the next meeting, we can put the narrative with it to support the work that's already been done.
Thank you for that. And since these are both info items, if there's no public comment on those items, I will close the public hearing, and then we'll reopen our regular TTUSD board meeting with the consent agenda, and I'll pass that on to, or actually I can just ask, any changes to the consent agenda from cabinet or you?
No changes tonight, President Driller.
Board, do you have any changes or pulling from the consent? We were okay with that, yep. Yep, thank you. I do want to just quickly just say that the consent agenda has 11 items, but everything that's on this consent agenda, just for public knowledge, is something that we have either looked at or is a regularly returning item on our consent agenda. And they are all action items at this case, but they are something that we've already seen, so that we're putting it into a lump consent, just so the public knows that. And with that, would anyone care to make a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. And any second?
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, thank you. This moves us to 16.0, Superintendent Kramer? Educational Services.
Yes, for this item, I'm going to ask our Director of Educational Services, Sean Roderick, to come up to the podium to introduce this item.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer. Good evening, President Driller, Board of Trustees, and community. Tonight, I will be presenting the Dashboard Alternative School Status Application. Beginning in the 2022 California School Dashboard, the Dashboard Alternative School Status 1-year graduation rate is only reported for informational purposes. The data exclusive to DOS schools is being provided to local educational agencies for local planning and analysis. It is the staff's recommendation to approve the application for the Dashboard Alternative School Status. Are there any questions?
Thank you for that. Any questions from board? Comments? Nope. Okay, thank you for that. That is an action item. And if there's no questions or comments, would there be a motion on the table? I'll make a motion to approve 16.1, 2425 Dashboard Alternative School Status Application.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much for that. And no questions, so thank you. Moving to 16.2, Superintendent Kramer.
And for this, we'll again turn to Mrs. Roderick.
Thank you. Tonight I'm presenting a first read of the newly proposed high school course, Video Editing for students grades 9 through 12. Video editing is a 1-year technical education course emphasizing professional ethics, professional videographing, and professional editing techniques for the video production profession. Students will assume different roles and responsibilities, ranging from director to editor. Likewise, students will have an opportunity to create and produce video projects. This is a first read for information only and will be brought back to the board for adoption on June 26, 2024. Are there any questions?
I have one. Will this be offered at both high schools?
It's starting at North Tahoe High School this year with plans to move it to Truckee High the following year.
Good questions. I'm very excited about having another CTE sort of option for our students. And I think, didn't we do something with, and Ed, Pat, Trustee Mooney, didn't we do something over at Truckee High with the radio? So, yeah, so I think we're increasing the opportunities for radio, I think it's awesome. Just look out, LA. We'll be taking them on. All right, this is an info only, so with that, thank you for that, and then we'll look forward to seeing it on the next board meeting.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, thanks. This moves us to 17.0 personnel. Superintendent Kramer?
Yes, for this, we'll turn to our Executive Director of Human Resources, Mr. Mike Shepard.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer, President Driller, members of the board, and the Tahoe Truckee staff and community. I have two MOUs for consideration tonight, so if I could quickly speak to both of them. The first MOU with and this is thanks in part with our great labor partner, CSCA, partnering with us for these solutions. MOU number 13 is a new job description for short-term summer district technology worker. And this was Mr. Hilton's idea, and we wrote this job description in a way that it will also enable students to apply for this summer work and earn some money and gain valuable experience working with the amazing tech department. And so that is up for your consideration. By the way, it's also available to any staff, CSCA staff, who would wish to apply for it as well. The second MOU is a newly revised job description for the administrative assistant for food services. Previously, they were using a job description that was really geared for school site administrative support. So this job description is more in line with the duties that the person in that position needs to accomplish for food services. So with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you for all of these creative new opportunities. Any questions from the board? Sounds great. This is an action item, so I will do 17.1 first. Would there be a motion on the table?
I'll move to approve the memorandum of understanding number 13 with C.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
CSA.
Aye.
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 Aye. And then moving to 17.2. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve memorandum of understanding number 14 with CEAC for the administrative assistant food services position.
Marvelous. Is there a second?
Words. I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Awesome. Thank you very much. Moving on to 18.0. Association report and comments. Superintendent Kramer.
Yes, for this, we will invite up our CSCA president, Mrs. Melissa Cruz.
Good evening, everybody. CSEA. You had it. I saw both of you do that. It's okay. I know. That's why I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's not very clear there. You guys are all good. I mess it up all the time. I'm Melissa Cruz, our CSEA president. Good to see everybody tonight. Sorry I've missed a couple meetings. We've been very busy. So tonight will most likely be my last, but not like that. Don't worry. But for the year. I don't plan on coming to the next one, and I'm taking the summer off, so I'm not coming to any more board meetings till the fall. So I wanted to do like a little fun recap on kind of some of the cool things that we did as classified members with the district and the board as well. So number one, as you just heard, 14 MOUs, which it was kind of a joke that we had so many MOUs going, but it was all throughout the year, and it was awesome. They were all very positive things for our members, whether it was new job descriptions, change job descriptions, PD days, or stipends for some of our really hardworking members. So that was really awesome. We are offering the summer assistance program for our classified employees who are 11 months or less for the first time. So we really appreciate the district willing to try that and see how it goes. It was a little confusing at first because we've never done it, but I think it'll be good. It's definitely a benefit to our members. who don't work during the summer. And then just a really compatible negotiation session that has kind of gone the whole school year as well. We're still working on that, but we feel very hopeful that we're going to come to a great agreement to finish that up, hopefully within the next month. And having some really strong, thoughtful, creative conversations at our committee tables and moving forward with a lot of stuff that we've come up with. It's been great having classified members, CSEA members at that table. So I think those are very cool things. And then on a side note, just being supported by the district for some paraprofessionals to go to the paraprofessional conference, as well as myself and a coworker to go to a Head Start conference, which was for our early learning. It was called the First 1,000 Days, and it was literally from conception to 2 years old. So there was no school age preschool. It was all about that early learning and foundation of our infants and toddlers, which was really cool. So I brought back a lot of stuff to share with our early learning department with that. And just an overall really respectful relationship with the administration of the school district this last year. It was a very nice breath of fresh air. So we appreciate that as a classified unit. CSEA appreciates all of their members being supported by the districts that they work in. So thank you for that. Even though we had some rough times with individuals, we had a really, in general, great experience this year, and we are hopeful that it's going to be the same next year. Moving forward, we have our last chapter meeting tomorrow, and it's more of a gathering, fun thing we're doing over at the Tahoe backyard, I think it's called, over in Kings Beach. 5:30 to 7:30, we invite all the board members to stop by if you guys aren't busy. We're encouraging potential members as well as members to come and just make it a fun last hurrah of the school year. And I think that's all I have for tonight. So I hope everybody has a wonderful summer. And obviously we're here for a couple more weeks, but thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you in a few meetings. Have a great summer. Thank you very much. And then Superintendent Grimmer, 18.2.
Yes, I know our e-board for Tahoe Truckee Education Association was not available, but I see Mr. Halverson is here. Were you going to speak for TTA tonight, or? Okay, thanks for being here. So they had let me know they did not have anyone available.
Awesome, thank you for that. So moving on to 19.0, Business Services. Superintendent Kramer?
For this item, we will again turn to Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. And just some background on this particular item. If you're not aware, the parcel of land that we house our transportation facility is actually leased property from the sanitation agency, and that's been in effect since 2001 when it was constructed, and it's a 40-year term lease. And that lease essentially identifies the area property and a property description that's part of the lease that the district has. Recently, probably about a year ago or so, Tahoe Truckee Sanitation Agency came to an agreement with the airport district to do a land exchange. The airport wanted to get land that was closer to one of its runways, and the sanitation agency wanted some other property that the airport district owns. So they did a land exchange, and part of that land in that exchange that's going to the airport district encroaches on the current legal description of the leased property of the school district. So what this amendment does is just kind of recreate the lines of what our leased area is and carves out that section of the airport district property that was exchanged. And this particular property is in the southwest, southeast area of the transportation facility, well beyond the asphalt area where we would actually utilize. So we have no use for that property, and there's really no effect in our operations.
Awesome, thank you for that. I'm learning a lot about property sharing usage and all, that's good. Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Rivera on that issue or situation?
You don't see the potential for the Transportation Department to expand into that area?
I don't think we'd be expanding in that area, and currently under our agreement, we wouldn't be able to expand the existing buildings as it is anyway, so.
All right, thank you for that, and that is an action item. Could we get a motion on the table, please?
I'll make a motion to approve amendment number 1 to the TTUSD and TTSA lease agreement.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. And Todd, thank you and your team for working with that. I know it just seems like everything that we have in place has just got a little bit of a tweak to it. So thank you for doing that one. And then Superintendent Kramer's 19.2.
And for this, we'll again turn to Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. So staff is asking the board to approve a bid package and contractors agreement with JB Bostwick as the lowest responsible bidder for asphalt maintenance over the summer, and that asphalt maintenance includes slurry seal, crack filling, and striping of several of our district properties. We did receive 3 bids, and JB Bostwick was the lowest bidder on that package. And sorry, I forgot to tell you the amount. So the amount is $242,321.
Any questions on this 19.2?
No.
I apologize, Todd. I did have one quick question, and I think I spoke briefly to you. When we do get these bids, it goes out to local bidders as well. Like, so our local guys could potentially bid on this, but they just didn't have the right number, or there may be other variables, but when this goes out, there is an opportunity for our local contractors to get on it, and they just have to fit that description of what the lowest bid is.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, this was a formal bid because of the value of that. So
Correct.
This goes in trade journals, goes in newspaper publishings, and then we also reach out to a lot of our local contractors that frequently do sealing for us.
Yep.
And let them know about the bid.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. The only reason I'm saying too is just the community involvement, that if obviously there was a grant or a scholarship that came from Sierra High yesterday that said that they were giving a scholarship to somebody that was going to do something in the industry that would consider helping our community. And so obviously we would love to just do things that would help people that are living here. So thank you for clarifying that. And with that, could we get a motion for 19.2?
Well, President Driller, before we vote, I just wanted to, sometimes our local contractors don't have the capacity, right? Because we're a big district, yeah.
That's a big number.
Yeah, and because it would be a public works thing, and a lot of smaller contractors don't want to take that on, or again, don't have maybe office staff capacity to take that on.
Yep.
But that was a good question, just so people do know that we want our local businesses to be able to bid if they want to and can.
Thank you. With that, would you care to make a motion?
I have
Oh, sorry.
I see that Elements and Sutton bid on this, and they're both local. Is Bostic also, are they local?
I was just looking them up. They've done a lot of work up here. I know that they worked for us in the past. It looks like they're based out of Roseville. They have some offices in Placer County.
Thank you.
No, good discussion. I mean, I'm psyched that this is, obviously we want people to do it, but I think, Chris, your point is very valid, that that's a huge amount and not. Yeah, and that's the other thing, it's hard. Okay, thank you, Chris. Back to you.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the bid package agreement number 240012. I wrote over that digit, sorry.
A second.
Thank you very much. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for that, Todd. Moving to 20.0, first read board policy, Superintendent Kramer.
For this item, we will turn to our Executive Director of Student Services, Dr. Anna Marie Cohen.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Kramer, President Driller, Board of Trustees, and Community. Tonight I'm presenting for information only a first read of Board Policy 5145.3, Non-Discrimination and Harassment. This policy is updated to reflect new law AB 1078 passed in 2023 requiring the district's policy prohibiting discrimination, harassment, intimidation, bullying, and to include a statement that this applies to all acts of the governing board and clarifies when it would be considered unlawful discrimination for the board to refuse to adopt instructional materials. Additionally, the policy is updated to reflect new U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights, which states that a district may not separate students based on race, but may include group discussions or activities that focus on race as part of the curriculum, courses, or programs, so long as access or participation is not permitted or limited based on race. And to provide that a school-sponsored program with emphasis on race, such as a student club that is open to all students, typically would not violate Title VI solely because of its race-related theme. And lastly, addresses discrimination in the use of discipline based on disability, race, and gender expression. This policy will be brought back for action adoption at the next board meeting. And are there any questions?
Thank you for that, Dr. Cohen. Any board questions or comments? Awesome. This is an info only, and it will come back, so thank you for that. And again, these are all just updates basically based on new laws, and so we're just complying and cleaning them up. Thank you. Yeah. We'll go on to 20.2, Superintendent Kramer.
Yes, and this one Dr. Cohen will also address.
And I realize these are a little complicated because they also drive district policies and some of the programmatic changes that we make. So I'm going a little bit more in depth on these policies. Hope that's okay. So thanks. Tonight I'm presenting for information only a first read of Board Policy 5131.2, bullying. This policy has been updated to reflect new law AB 1078. Which includes a statement applying to all acts of the governing board and superintendent, and address new U.S. Department of Education guidance addressing discrimination, and reflects CSBA's policy brief, School Safety, Bullying, and Cyberbullying, which encourages district families to model respectful behavior, contribute to a safe and supportive learning environment, and monitor potential causes of bullying. Additionally, the administrative regulation has been updated to reflect new laws AB 2879 and 1165 to add additional measures to prevent bullying by developing a strategic plan for school connectedness, social skills with benchmark tracking, implementing socially based educational techniques, creating a supportive school environment that fosters belonging, and building social connection to health education courses, and to engage in restorative justice practice suitable to address the needs of both the victim and the perpetrator students when a student has been suspended or for whom means of correction have been implemented for incidents of racist, bullying, harassment, or intimidation, and ensure supportive measures are in place, including enrollment in culturally sensitive programs for the perpetrator and regular check-ins on the victim to ensure there are not any long-lasting mental health issues. So this policy will be brought back for action and adoption at the next board meeting. Are there any questions?
Thank you for that. Is there anything that our board has questions on? Comments? Thank you for those updates. We'll look forward to them the next board meeting. And then if we have any questions, we'll reach out. 21.0, Superintendent Kramer. Oh, wait, that's us. Yes. Forget that. Come back to us. And board comments. And I know Chris has a list. Let's start with Chris.
All right, thank you. I don't so much have a list as much as I have my list of just things I've attended and things that were so impressive wrapping up the end of the school year. And I guess since you put it that way, I should say that it's not like, yay, I have a list. It's we're out there supporting our school sites, our administrators, and all the staff, the students and their families. So when we do our reporting out of where have we been, it's really about that, not about like, yay, look at me. So one of the things that I really appreciated in the recent past is the board had the opportunity to get some education on what the district is doing and kind of, I don't know if I would call it the trend, but a conversation about the trends on drug use in our district and our communities among the youth. And the alcohol use, we were given some stats, and we had a conversation about how we as a district can support events as adults and yet, be true to wanting to support our students and staying drug and alcohol free. So there's a lot of opportunity for future conversations among the 5 of us plus district leadership. And then I already shared a little bit about DLAC, but I just have to say, I feel like they've always been supported in our district. At least that's been my experience when I've dropped in at ELAC meetings and the few DLACs that I've been to, but they were so excited about their involvement in the calendar. And it just made me realize, like, oh my gosh, we don't just do student voice, but parent voice, and seeing their excitement made me proud of our staff, right? Because it shows that they're doing what the vision is, but also that we're getting involvement from the Spanish-speaking and Latino community, and that it just made me really proud. And just to see their pride, and I know that now they've been coming to our meetings at least once a year, and so it was just really touching. Okay, graduations. I think we've all hit a few graduations. The adult graduation was so insanely inspiring. We had some young adults graduating, and I was talking to a teacher who had supported one of our youngest graduates through, and I don't want to botch it up or not use the right terminology, but not special needs, but special ed graduate in the adult program, and just talking about her high school career and just the challenges that she had overcome in that, and then how she transitioned into adult education and was able to graduate from that program. It was just so inspiring. And then obviously Truckee, North Tahoe, and Sierra High School, great graduations as always. I want to give a shout out to facilities, because the North Tahoe High School field is under construction, or adjacent areas are under construction. And of course, with my mom hat on, I was so happy that it was so beautiful for my kid and her friends, and for all the families that attended. They did a really great job in setting up the field. The Breakfast and Books Literacy Circle, it's no secret, it's my favorite event of the year. And it was super well attended, and then we saw cells here, the 8th grade class, and I think that's just, it's great for us adults to show up to that, but for the students of Sierra High to get their peers to show up, it's I think, very edifying for them. So I was very happy about that. I only attended the North Tahoe Awards night. I know Truckee had a great night of excellence, I think is what they call it, right? So thank you to the community and all the agencies and businesses that support our students so that they can go on to further education after graduating from our district. They were both really impressive numbers that they reported. But and then the last thing I would share is the North Tahoe High School collaboration with the Boys and Girls Club, Great Futures production. I know that one of the students from North Tahoe talked about it. Their last show, which was 6, the musical, with students from all of our high schools, a few of our middle schools, and some, let's see, Forest Charter, Incline. I think I covered all the schools, but just a great collaboration between the Boys and Girls Club and our district, and super excited that our kids get the opportunity to do that. And that's all I have. I'm looking forward for summer for everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Nice work. Who would like to go next?
Same, yeah.
Oh, come on. Totally fun. You guys are right. We did a lot. This has been a very busy, busy thing. I did the same thing. I mean, it's not like we're trying to do as many as we can, but I think that's the best part of our job, is like, I'd much rather do that than, have to sit in a meeting. But I ended up doing a couple different things, and as board president, you do get to do a couple different things. There was a couple things. So I went down with Kirsten down to Auburn, Rockland, to do the May review budget discussion and just listen to what they had to say and what they didn't have to say. It's just interesting. Not that I understand all of it, but it was definitely interesting. Did offer my services as a board member to the schools to see if I could help pack up and help the teachers finish their classrooms for the end of the year. And so far, only Allie Everest has taken me up on it. I've been able to, I did some glazing in the pottery room. So she could, while the kids went to sign, I walked in the classroom and all the kids were going out. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, Dee Dee, you're not going with kids. I'm like, breakfast and books is awesome. I did steal a book, which was awesome as well. I stole Tweak, which, it's going to be an interesting read. I did do the open house at Tahoe Lake, which was a little different. This year they did the open house, and then they also went outside and did their performance on the stage, which, golly, if you're just standing there looking at the kids, they're all looking at us, looking at Fairway Street. You're just looking out over the kids at the lake. Yes. I was like, okay, that's rough. So every class did a presentation. No one fell off the stage. And they had, the school was open for all the parents to come through, which was really cute to see. Did get to go to Tahoe, or Truckee Elementary, to watch Alice in Wonderland's idioms, which I thought was the kick in the pants. Those guys did a great job, and it's funny, I didn't really quite remember what an idiom was, and then all of a sudden you hear them all, and they did a great job. So that was really fun. Did enjoy that board meeting with Kim Bradley and her brother, and we had it was a special board meeting just to discuss substance abuse within our district, and I think we as a board are looking at other things that we can discuss with other entities that will help support where we feel our students need support or advancement or whatnot. So we're reaching out as a group to other entities, and as you mentioned, Chris, there are so many other entities out there that are with resources and things that we could use, and I think we're trying to grasp on those. Agenda, going back, I do speak with Kirsten before each board meeting to go over the agendas, just so we know what the agenda's materials are. So as board members, we do get sort of an idea of what is on the board agendas, and then there's a calendar that we slightly follow, and then there's another opportunity if we do need to put something on the agenda, then there's an opportunity for conversation. And also the board individually does meet with Kirsten on a one-to-one each month, so that each board member has an opportunity to speak specifically with Kirsten on anything that is happening, so that we as a board are able to speak directly with her, and then also if there's issues that we need to discuss, we have an opportunity to do that. And that was basically all I wanted to say. Okay. With that, 6:59, we are adjourned.